Hey guys, Mitsurugi Jones here, and I wanted to talk to you about a game called Disciples Reincarnation. Now, the Disciples game franchise has been out for quite some time. They had the Disciples and Disciples 2, which were very widely popular. When they came out with the first versions of Disciples 3, they were not so much popular. The first two that they came out with was Renaissance on July 16th, 2010, and they also came out with Resurrection on October 11th, 2011. Those two games were not that great. They had really good graphics, but there were so many other problems with the game that the hardcore fans of the Disciple series did not really like them. Now, when they came out with this one, Disciples Reincarnation, earlier this year, they came out with it on February 14th, 2014. I decided to pick it up because I've always been a huge fan of the Disciple series, and I just love the lore of it. I like the storytelling, beautiful graphics, and I'm a huge fan of turn-based gaming. Now, I'm going to go ahead and start here. You can see that you can play the tutorial here, which does kind of teach you some things, and I would suggest it if you are a first-time player of Disciple games, but you can skip it if you so desire. The Empire, I would do the other four in order, however, because it's all part of a story, and if you skip to, say, the Elven Alliance, you'll miss out on all the background story from the Empire, which are humans, like paladins and witch hunters, and the Legion of the Damned, which are a demon race and very corruptible, real dark. Then you have the Elven Alliance, which is at war with all the other factions. They still don't like the human beings that much, but they hate the Legion of the Damned and the Undead Hordes. They're sort of an uneasy alliance with the humans at times. My favorite faction overall is the Undead Hordes. Now, they're also very overpowered. Once you start to get to the Undead Hordes, you're going to be taking out a lot of people, and they can be extremely hard to bump up against when you're playing, say, the Empire or Legion of the Damned. But I am going to go ahead and start a Let's Play for the Empire. We're going to go ahead and start it now, and I'll be able to show you a little bit about what I like about the game, and I'll talk about some of the things that aren't that great about the game. But for now, we're going to go ahead. Now, you can pick a different Lord class if you want. The Warlord, all the units are restored 15% of their health each turn, which is very helpful, and that's pretty much always what I play. The Governor gains a 20% discount when trading items, so it can save you gold, or say you buy a lot of things. That can come in quite handily. We also have the Mage, which can cast 2 spells per turn instead of just the one. It requires less mana, which is nice. I'm going to go ahead and go with the Warlord because I like that my units heal when they're out on the campaign instead of just having to go back to a castle every time, which is a real pain. Now, if you're playing the Empire, you could probably get away with it not being a Warlord, but I'm just a big fan of it, so I'm going to go ahead and start the game this way. Now, there is a storyline to this game, and I'm going to go ahead and skip it for now, because if you guys do decide you want to play this game, you probably don't want me spoiling it too much for you. You can always read Act 1 there if you want to go ahead and pause the game, but as soon as the loading bar is through and over, I'm going to go ahead and start the gameplay of the game, sort of show you how it is. This first video, probably I'm going to take about 20 minutes or so going through some things, and then I will probably really get into the Let's Play version of it. Essentially, you start out as Lambert, which is this gentleman here. He is, for all intents and purposes, he's a paladin, essentially. That's how he acts in the game. Now, when you first start the game, you go ahead and have your first level up. Now you can see the attributes, your strength, agility, dexterity, all of this good stuff. You really don't have that much control over it in this part of the menu. But you have down here your skills. This is going to bring up a sort of tile map of different things that you can use when you level up. If you right click on something, it will tell you what each tile represents. Now, when starting this game and throughout the game, the most important thing is, to me, leadership, which are these little white flag areas. Now, you get +1 leadership for every time you get to one of these tiles, so that is what I go to right away, try to get to the closest one. And I will show you why in just a second. Go ahead and close this. Here is your leadership. Now, what leadership does for you is it allows you to have these things in your party, these little minion guys. And we'll go through real quick. Here is the warrior, or the very lowest level is called a squire. Your apprentice, which is going to be your mage, which I will go over in leveling up these guys in a little bit later. And here is your basic ranged unit, the archer. Now also, go ahead and hop in the castle here. Show you that there is a, oops, I don't have enough leadership to do that, but over here in my castle I can. Here is your 4th unit type. It's called an acolyte, which is a healer, and these are very important to the Empire, so you are going to want to get one of them as soon as possible. In fact, I'm going to skip the apprentice and bring in the healer over here. And we'll go ahead, we want the archer in the back and the squire up here with my main guy. This is your castle. It can be attacked. Your beginning castle always has this wonderful gentleman in it, Mazriel, and he, well, he's almost undefeatable. Let's just say that. For each faction, your starting castle always gets this guy. He cannot leave. He's basically there just to defend the castle in case it gets attacked. Now, he has his own leadership, and you can go ahead and fill this up as time goes on, but for now, this is going to be okay. I'm not going to worry about that. You can also see when you are in the castle that you have a shop available to you, where you can buy these various spells that you can use out in the field, and that becomes very important a little bit later in the game, especially with summons. But right now, it's not very necessary. You do start out with 1 potion that heals for 100, and a resurrection or restoration potion. So let's go ahead and hop to it. I've taken enough time, and we can go ahead and see the battle system. Now, these little orbs here, they are the different magic. Now, here are your resources. Up here is your gold, which is very important. This is your stone, which is important for building. And these are your different magic types. You have life, fire, earth, death, and rune mana. I don't use this one so much, but the other ones, depending on what faction you are going to want to collect these orbs. And we'll get into the spell system a little bit later. Right now I'm going to go ahead straight into battle so we can kind of take a look and see. It brings you to this menu. You have the option to retreat if you don't feel like you can take on the enemy, but right now it's only 3 peasants. It's no big deal. We can handily defeat these guys, so I'm going to go ahead and attack. Here is the battle system. When you enter battle, there are some important tiles to be aware of. The important ones are this tile here, which increases focus and damage when you are on it. This one here is for magic and spell power increases. And there is a third, and we'll probably see it a little bit later. It is sort of a mound that comes out of the ground. It's for ranged attack. So here is your initiative-based system of battle, where who gets to go first, who's next in the turns, and where they fall. Now, depending on their actual initiative, this gets jumbled around quite a bit depending on who you're facing. But right now we have the archer. I'm going to go ahead and take a stab at this guy here, because I can reach him as the archer, and I don't believe that they can move up to this focus square just yet. They're going to be just shy of that. Some of the flack that this game gets is because of the AI. The enemy isn't actually that bad. It's when you do this option here, which is quick battle, which your guys just go ahead and go all out. It's not as bad as some of the previous games, but it's still pretty bad. I don't suggest using it unless you know for a fact that your team is going to do well, and even then I would set up the first turn or two if I were you. So now we're going to go ahead and jump on this because it's super important to get on those squares, not allow your enemy to attack you. Now, he was in a defensive posture there, which helps him keep from hurting his... Oops, that was a mistake. You know, no big deal. Actually, just I couldn't use the healer anyway because everybody's at full hit points. And then we are back to the archer. I'm going to go ahead and take another pot shot. I like to try and pick off... I like to concentrate on one foe at a time and get them knocked out of the field, if at all possible. So I'm going to go bring Lambert up here. As you can see, some pretty animations. Your people, when it's their turn, they have this sort of halo glow about them. And back to the archer, I'm going to go ahead and go back at this guy and try and knock him out as quickly as possible. Now, there you'll see there that there's this thing called interception. Now, you can see that represented by these little shields and the number down there. If they have that and somebody attacks or tries to move and they're in an adjacent square to that character, your character gets a chance to interrupt them and attack them, which becomes very useful and a big part of strategy in later parts of the game. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up my squire here and take a chunk out of this poor peasant. I feel sort of bad when I fight the peasants. Now this is the acolyte, which is a healer, and it looks like Lambert is the one who's most damaged, so I'm going to actually step on here to get a little bit extra healing power available, and that should bring him up to full, which is nice. I think when you step on one of these, it pretty much doubles the potency of your spells. The same as when you're a melee unit and you get on one of these focus squares here. So we're back to the archer. Go ahead and see if we can't take this dude out. Oh, so close. Alright, well that's okay. Lambert will finish him up. Now at this point, I could, if I want to, go ahead and hit this quick battle. It would just quickly eliminate this dude. And in fact, I will do that just to show you kind of what that looks like. It just speeds things up real quick, and the computer takes his turns for you, which is what you would normally do in a situation if, say, you've played 1,000 battles and you just don't want to see it and you know you're going to win hands down. So, now when you click on one of these little icons for one of your people, it will show you their basic stats and everything. When you go over here to additional information, you'll be able to see what their experiences is and when they will level up next. Leveling does take quite a bit of time in this game. I'm going to go ahead and end my turn real quick. And I'm going to hop on this tree here so it kind of opens up when you get in one of these. Oops. I clicked the wrong area. Try to go off the map, and that's not what we want. When you click on one of these trees, it's like a scouting post, and it kind of opens up the map and disperses some of the fog of war so you can better see your map. Let's go ahead and get moving here. There are these sort of other buildings in the area, like this one's a magic shop here, or by right-clicking on any of them you can see what they are, what they do. This one resurrects units with 20% health, which is important at some points. Then there are the ones where you actually go in and fight in. But I am going to go talk to this gentleman over here, kind of further our quest. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not a gentleman. Pardon me, my lady. That you get these little side quests when you talk to certain people. It'll show you on the map where you need to go in order to fulfill the quest, but it doesn't really disperse the fog of war, so you don't really know what's there until you get there. You can, of course, zoom in and out of the game by the mouse wheel, or by holding down the mouse wheel you can rotate. Now that works in battles as well, so you can get real close-up looks at things. So let's see here. If you right-click on an enemy, it shows you what they are. I'm going to go ahead and attack these guys real quick, get some more experience, and show you a little bit more combat, where it can get kind of pretty. Now you can zoom in. Now that you can't zoom in terribly far, but when you do attack, it does zoom in for you. Now this is a perfect example of when you want to stay away from one of these things. I cannot move there with this guy, so you wouldn't want to be there. But here we have that mound that we were speaking of earlier for your ranged units. But all these I can't attack because they're too far away. So I'm going to go ahead and put a defensive stance, or you can hit the space bar and that will do the same thing. Now, looks like, will he be able to, he'll be able to make it to that square. And if he does, I want to stay away from it, because that will double his attack damage, and that can really tear into your guy. So I'm going to go ahead, even if I were to move here, he can attack me. So I'm going to go ahead and stick right here and take a shot at this guy. She can't really do anything right now because nobody needs healed, and she cannot attack. She's not an attack person. Now I can hit all three of these targets, which is excellent. Go ahead and take a chunk out of this guy. And a miss. Yes, Lambert, I need you to stay here for a minute. Now, since the enemy is here, he's not smart enough to realize, well, I should probably just stay on this square. So he will move towards me, most likely. I've never seen them exhibit a whole hell of a lot of intelligence. They can do some smart things, like their mages sometimes will run for these squares, but if he doesn't think that I'm going to come at him, he won't stay on that particular square. So here we are back with the archer. Actually, let's go ahead and see if we can take this dude out. 22 should do it if I hit him, and he's toast. And this gentleman here can go ahead and take a chunk out of him. Critical hit, you little bastard. Okay, so we'll go ahead and heal him up. And we'll go for the lower one. You can also target them by these tiles here if you want to. It's just sort of a preference of play style. I use different. I will use this at times, depending on the situation. Let's see, we're on Lambert here. Can't reach that, so I'm going to just go ahead and take a big swipe out of this guy and miss. Early on in levels, you will miss quite a bit, but that's okay. Once your guys start to level up, they start to become more and more powerful, and it gets to a point sometimes where you're just so much more powerful. But early game, that doesn't happen too terribly often. They put a good mix of monsters on the actual battlefield, so you can face some pretty tough opposition, and there are some things you want to stay away from. I will point those out as we go along and through them. So next, as you can see, my guy is hurt here. It's not that big a deal because I picked the Warlord, so I'm just going to go ahead and end my turn, and he's going to heal up that 15%, which is pretty much all I was damaged-wise. So let's go ahead and can we move past this lady? We can. So we're going to go ahead and move past. The road sign will give you plus 10 movement if you so desire. Now, I don't see an enemy there, so I'm going to go ahead, pick up this stone here, and I'll go ahead and grab some experience, which is this thing here. The Rotunda grants 500 experience. Now, real quick, you can see that I have leveled up my main guy. It has that little arrow there, and you'll see that glowing icon. So I'm going to go ahead and go in here and get a little bit closer to my ultimate goal. Now, you can take two different paths here. So do I want earth resistance or speed? I'm going to opt for speed. Also, these are kind of useful. This is your reserve units, and I'll show you that in just a second. The reserve units, if you go to your army, if you unlock that particular tile, will open this up here, which you can put a unit in. Now, they gain a small bit of experience that the party does, but if one of your people die in the field and you can't make it back to a castle, or you don't want to go back to a castle to resurrect them, then you can always sub in your reserve units over here, which is nice if you have a lot of enemies between you and your castle. So, and your main hero levels will carry over from match to match. Now, this is one of my favorite parts of the game. It's the beautiful setting of your main city. Now, this is where you do some upgrades and some buildings. This is where you're going to use your stone. Basically, when a unit gets to a certain level, like our squire here that we have, you can branch off into these trees. Now, a lot of these are locked for the first level, but they open up as the game goes by and you get more and more levels. You can right-click and we'll show you what the unit will level up to. Now, I believe it's once you gain 3 levels of a squire and you have this building unlocked, then the squire will turn into here, which is the knight. And so forth and so on as you start to build these buildings. They get super expensive, as you can see towards the end, but the units become super powerful as well. So I don't have any real units that are going to mature anytime soon, but as you can only build 1 building per turn, it's important to get a head start. So let's see, for this one, there's only 2 options. I'm going to opt for the knight, so I'm going to go ahead. You can double click the building or hit this little build icon and it will build it. As you can see, a nifty little animation pops up as you progress through the tree. This building gets grander and grander in size and in detail. It just gets really pretty after a while. So I'm going to go ahead and take another turn and see what's a little bit further down the road. Now, sometimes the environment does get in your way and it's hard to see, so you can go ahead and rotate the camera. I'm going to go ahead and move over here. I can tell by this glow that this is one of the objectives or somebody I need to talk to in order to progress in the quest. That did not actually finish it, so we'll go ahead and move on to the next guy. 2 imps, that is no problem. I'm going to run over that guy. Actually, I will show you real quick. As you can see on the map, when you click an area, say I wanted to move through a path, you notice that after you've clicked here, that there's a red arrow, like you see here. That means you are going to run into an enemy and attack it. So when you see that, when you're just going down your path, you realize that you might not want to take that step. Now, most battles you can retreat from, but there are some that you can't, so always keep that in mind. Now, since this is going to be such an easy battle, I'm going to go ahead and hit the quick battle and watch the battle unfold very quickly, and you can kind of still keep an eye and always click on that button again to come out of the fast battle, the quick battle. And shows your experience, total damage, if you have any levels up, how many people were killed. So at a glance you can see what is going on. Go ahead and pick up this fire magic, I think it is. Also, there is a day and night cycle, and that does affect certain units, like the demons and the undead, I think, are stronger at night, and the humans and elves are stronger during the day. But let's go ahead and see what we got here. Nice level 9 Warthog. I'm actually going to go ahead and try to take this guy out. He is not that tough. Now, different units have special characteristics to them. One for this bad boy here, as you can see, you can always right-click on here, which is the desire for vengeance. So every time you effectively attack him, his initiative goes up 15%, which can change the battle quite dramatically in some situations. But since it is only 1 boar, it's not that big a deal. I'm going to hop my archer up here on this advantageous square and let him come to me. These statues, they don't do anything. They're just sort of decoration. There are spots, you know, that are like that. So we'll go ahead and come up here with my squire on this side. And hopefully he's close enough. As you can see, his little... Well, that didn't actually happen. That's interesting. I wonder why. Let's go ahead and attack and see if it happens with this guy. So I hit him. Wow, it didn't happen again. That's really strange. I don't think I've ever seen that happen before. There it is. That little burning skull, that's his desire to fight. And he is a pretty tough cat. As you can see, he took a huge chunk, more than half of the life of my person. Now, I'm actually going to retreat with this guy because I do not want to lose him. Because if he dies during this battle, he doesn't get the experience from this battle. And since this is a level 9 character, it should be a decent chunk of EXP. So I'm going to go ahead and attack him with the archer. He might be able to reach my squire anyway, but I did put him on defense. Nope. Because I have had the interception, Lambert stopped him from coming up here and attacking this guy. And he's almost killed Lambert now as well. So I'm going to go ahead and heal Lambert here. And since he only has 16 hit points, I feel pretty confident that I can kill him. And I do. So the level 9, it gave, what, 52 experience to each person? You can kind of see on the battlefield it shows your total experience here, but right when you finish a level, it shows that in blue, it'll pop up over their heads what each member got experience-wise. Now my people are wounded, so I want to see if I can build another building real quick. Since the early buildings are pretty cheap. 300, 200 for ranged units, mage units, 150, 250. I don't have enough stone for that. And then, if you really want to, you can also... Where is it? You can buy the ruined temple, which is pretty expensive. And that gives you these 2 leadership NPCs or units that are extremely tough. They're very, very big. The Titan is pretty cool. He's not one of my favorites. Once you get to the undead, you'll see the werewolf. That unit just destroys things. It takes things apart because it is immune to physical damage. It can only be hurt by mages. So I'm going to go ahead and end this turn because I can't build anything just yet. Now I can... Actually, what I really need to buy first is not the magic tower, but the temple. The temple allows you to heal or resurrect units in your capital city, or actually any of your cities that you have. But we just have the capital now, so I'm going to go ahead and build this now, because it becomes extremely important as time goes on. Since my guys are still injured, I can actually come up here. And it doesn't look like I'm going to run into any enemies doing that, so I'm going to go ahead and come up here. Normally near your capital there are these areas that can regain health for you. And we might actually already be healed. No? Okay. This obviously will do, but now there's a countdown timer every time you use it. In this first level, it's only 1 turn for that, so you can go ahead and use it pretty often if you want. Go ahead and start in this direction as well. See what is over in this area. You also see these little caravan-looking things. You can go ahead and search those, and they generally give you something, but I am out of movement turns. This is just an artifact. It's something that I can use to trade. So we'll go ahead and go to the shop and show you what that interface looks like. Now you saw... Oops. Now you saw that the city itself has an actual shop in it, but you also will have these random buildings like magic item stores and other places like that that you can go to, and they have different options available. I'm going to go ahead and sell this for the money. It's 1,000 gold. Now these shops are actually pretty expensive, but you can pick up things like potions, and there are different tiered potions that cost more money, or actual equipment that does affect your character as well. But they are very expensive most of the time, and you cannot get them early game. As we are getting closer on time, and I have spent an awful lot of time sort of describing the different things and different features of the game, I will go ahead and end this video now, and I will restart and do a Let's Play video where I won't have to go through all of this stuff, so you guys can just sort of enjoy the game a little bit more. So, thanks for watching, guys. It's Mitsurugi Jones, and we will catch you next time. Hey guys, the video's over. Anyways, as always, if you guys liked the video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like my style, you can hit the subscribe button. And you will notice there are 2 videos over there to the right. If you do like my style, go ahead and check one of those out, because they're series I've already done before. Otherwise, I will check you next time.